Hello and welcome to the Halloween special episode live stream of the Icons of Sin. Me and Chris are back, and we also have Joe Kelly with us. How is everybody?
Hello. Yeah, good.
Yeah. How are you, Chris?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent.
Happy Halloween, peoples.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody. So
Merry Spookmas.
Merry
Merry
Spookmas. There's somewhere that let's maybe we should start there. Christmas or Halloween, if you had to pick one.
Ooh.
I would say Christmas, just purely for the fact is that's like one of the only times of the year that like I see all of my family. in one place.
I tend to say the same actually. The family thing kind of wins me over for Christmas, but I do love Halloween.
It depends on what for. I do love Christmas, but that's partially also because I love snow. So it's closer to the winter and months where that snow's going to happen, and snow's got a particular kind of magic for me. You know, the silence it creates, the crunch under the feet, and sort of.
I love the sound of snow hitting snow. That kind of really soft sound. Awesome.
Yeah. So for the time of year, I love Christmas, but I do love the dress up on Halloween and the sort of the vibe with friends. I think Christmas obviously tends to have that family thing, which is great. But obviously I've got friends who don't enjoy the family aspect or don't have the family to spend time with for various reasons. So Halloween can sometimes be a lot more important for them. So yeah, kind of tricky. It's so subjective, I guess.
Well, I like dressing up like as a pirate, like year round.
Regularly.
It's not just It's not just Halloween. Sometimes I just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the pub, meet some friends. Like, just look around, see my pirate hat, and go, yeah, let's go pirate, and just go full pirate for no reason, just because I can.
Was it awkward for you on your driving test? You know, the hook hand on the steering wheel and.
Take me seriously, damn it.
I can't drive, so I wouldn't know.
Well, yeah, hook hands very hard to drive with. You know,
I can sail though.
You can.
I'm not helping my case, am I?
legitimately sail.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, because that's not an easy thing to do. I don't think. Not very well, anyway.
Trying to think of other occasions where it'd be inappropriate to be dressed as a pirate.
Yeah, desperately. Well, one of them would be Comic-Con.
Well, that would be appropriate. Yeah. That would.
Sorry, did you say inappropriate? Yeah.
Yes,
almost
like driving. Where else would this hamper you?
Almost anywhere else, I think. Job interviews.
Job interviews would be a good one. I thought weddings, but then I thought, well, some people might be okay with a pirate at their wedding, you know.
It's funny you said that. My sister's getting married next year in April, and I made a joke saying, "Oh, I'm gonna dress as a pirate," and my mum looked at me, and went, "No, you're fucking not." It's like, okay, guess I'm not then.
That is such a mum thing to say. My mum would definitely say that.
I reckon you could probably get away with subtle pirate.
No, I reckon my sister. Well, she said she'd be absolutely fine with it, but my mum was like, "No, this is my only daughter. It's the first wedding in the family. I've got a nice photo of all of you." I'm just like, I look good as a pirate. It's gonna be a nice photo.
You could I think Joe's onto something. You could do like a posh pirate thing. You can make that work.
Yeah. Sort of like knee-high boots, but like smart ones that go with the trousers you're wearing, and like a waistcoat, a tie pin that's got a hook on it, and it's just you could still go for the beads in the hair and have your hair done nice. You know, just depends how you dress it up. I reckon you could.
Yeah. Or actually go the opposite. Go as like Admiralty or something, and
nice.
Well, Joe, what you don't know is that like because I have dreadlocks, I already have like a shit ton of beads in my hair, like constantly.
There you go.
I don't ever take them out.
So that's going to be there regardless. So yeah, I reckon you could subtle pirate it for sure.
Well, I'll wear a tricorn hat and a monocle just to look posh.
There you go. So anyway, before we get in, obviously we're going to get into horror and horror games, horror movies, probably. Who knows? But first of all, Joe, you're just back. You've done like 2 cons in a row now, right? Recently, you've just done Comic-Con, and you did. Was it VGA before that?
EGX.
Oh, EGX, right.
Formerly known as Eurogamer Expo.
So for those, introduce yourself. What do you do, Joe? For people that don't know you, of course you are the host of Lyrics Hysteric, which I also do with you.
And say, yeah, introduce yourself from the new person on the icons.
Yes.
Well, hello, I'm Joe Kelly, also known as JD Kelly. I go as JD Kelly from my stage name, where I do voice acting. I've been a voice actor for over 10 years, working in video games, animation, corporate and commercial stuff as well, audiobooks, and so on and so forth. I also do YouTubing and streaming in the gaming world as Magical, or the Magical One, and I have tiny baby channels, but I very much enjoy doing it as well. It's a nice thing to blow off steam. And yeah, I've also done things like radio and podcasts and various other bits and bobs. So I'm fairly on the internet, as it were.
You are definitely on the internet. I loved how how rehearsed that opening bit sounded. Like you've answered that question so many times. You were just like, "This is what I do."
And now we're going to ask it again.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason I was at both of these conventions was as a voice actor. At EGX, I did a talk, some one-to-ones, and a panel as a voice actor talking about voice acting in video games. And then at MCM Comic-Con, I was also on a panel talking about voice acting in general, and obviously, from video games to animation and onwards from there as well, doing voice acting 101. And also, at both of them, I was meeting with other voice actors as well, hanging out with them. There were other voice actors on the panels as well, so it was a fairly... both of them were work trips, although I managed to sneak in a lot of personal trip there as well.
How do you get into voice acting? That seems like a very strange,
profession?
Yep, that's it, that one. Strange profession to get into. Like, how do you do it? Like...
Well, you come into it from a lot of different paths, really. A lot of people will do things like they'll be interested in drama in school and do amdrams, and then they'll go on to do further productions, and maybe they'll do film, and then they'll do voice actor, and then some people go, oh, I actually enjoy voice acting more than the others, and they've got that kind of foundation in acting, because voice acting is acting, and kind of going through that path. But I've known some people who have come in from completely different fields. They've come in from just being fans of anime and then doing silly voices at home, and it turning into something a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, and going from there. I even spoke to somebody recently who started out by working at fast food takeaway places. And
taking the order.
They're taking the order over the microphone when people go through the drive-through, and they were doing it as their day job, and people kept telling them that their voice sounded fantastic whilst they were taking their orders, and that they should try voice acting. So they went, all right, I'll give it a go, and got into the industry in that way. So
that's amazing. It's
really, really varied. For me, I've been messing around with friends of mine since I was pre-teenager, where somebody would bust out a video camcorder. It was on mini DV tape back in the day.
Oh god, the old days of filmmaking. It's so much easier now.
I even remember editing together some film stuff when I was in my sort of GCSE years, where we used 2 VHS recorders. Two VHSs to like VCRs, sorry,
and then cut them.
That's how we were editing together the footage, was by pressing play and record and coordinating it, kind of like taping off radio and cassette tapes for audio. So I started out doing stuff like that when I was younger, and sort of what started out as messing around, and then it would be somebody would take it slightly seriously and say, oh well, I'll help out. And say, well, you know about lighting, why don't you do lights? Okay, I'll do some lighting, and I do lights. Oh, you know about sound, do some sound. Okay, I'll do some sound. Oh, we don't have an actor for this part, do you fancy being an extra? Yeah, sure. And do you fancy being a speaking extra? Yeah, sure. Do you fancy being a side role? Yeah, sure. And then do you fancy being a lead role? Yeah, sure. So obviously I was doing a good job at these things, because I kept getting promoted.
yeah. I guess you know. I guess like if you don't get invited back, then you know you're probably not doing so well. But I guess if you keep getting jobs and they keep being bigger roles, you're doing all right.
But then people started doing audio, and I fell into that, and I had that similar kind of feeling of, wait a second, I get to do my favorite job of acting. I'm not restricted by the way I physically look, and I can not shave and turn up to work in my pajamas. This sounds like an ideal job.
It does sound pretty awesome now that you've put it like that. I mean, it's interesting actually, isn't it? Because like you said, you can literally do any role as a voice actor if your voice is capable of pulling it off. You're not restricted by anything. I mean, you can play a dragon. Just You know.
Yeah, I can be a 30-foot tall dragon. I can be a 2-foot tall gnome. I can be everything between. I can be a minotaur. I can kind of be anyone. And that as someone who enjoys acting, it broadens that play box, that playpen. You know, rather than just I can only play these roles. And me as someone who is. I don't have a six-pack. I don't have washboard abs. You know, I don't have a chiseled jaw.
Or wings.
Or wings, yes. Although those,
as I was saying, none of us on the podcast have any of those things.
that we know of.
None of us.
Yeah, so it just means that things like playing the leading man is not typically something I would be cast as, which is fine. I don't begrudge that. But as a voice actor, I can play the leading man. I can play the villain. I can, all sorts of things. And it just, as I say, it means that I get more options and more roles. Every day's a bit different.
I applied for a voice acting role once because there was an advert for they needed someone Bristolian. I think it was
definitely fit that bill. That you
no. This thing I think it was for like Aardman. The guys who did Chicken Run and that. They were looking for like a Bristolian voice actor, so I was like, "Hey, I'm Bristolian.
I'm the most Bristolian person I know.
I'll apply." I applied for it, and they were like, "Record these lines, send it to us." And they came back, went, "You're too Bristolian." I'm like, "What?"
We didn't mean that Bristolian.
So yeah, that's my only interaction with the voice acting world. It's like. Bristolian voice actor needed. Brilliant. I'll give it a go. Nah, you're too Bristolian. Like, all right then.
Yeah, it's tricky with accents. Is you'll notice, especially in terms of like mainstream Hollywood, which Aardman now kind of falls within that category due to the success of a lot of their projects. You'll find that they want regional accents in order for diversity or location appropriate accents, but they want accents which are
understandable.
Well, yes, but also just easier to understand for people across ponds. A great example, and I use this example a lot when I'm talking about accents to other voice actors in education, is Hot Fuzz.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites.
The scene in Hot Fuzz where they go to meet the farmer who's got all of the weaponry in his shed, and they yeah, you've got the farmer who speaks in a completely unintelligible accent, the dog handler who's slightly more intelligible, and then Danny who's even more intelligible, and then he's speaking, translating for RP English to Nicholas Angel as well. So you get kind of like 4 shades of accent here in British accent, and it really showcases how
what the bad thing is though.
Locality, you can really push it really far, and it's
what the bad thing is though. The first time I watched that film, when the first guy spoke that had to be translated, I understood him.
Yeah. I think anyone around this kind of area, this sort of Gloucestershire and abroad area, would understand that kind of talk.
I think you've technically got another level as well, because isn't he the only one that understands the dog? So you've got the dog, then him, then everyone translating for him all the way down the line.
Yeah, I suppose, yes.
Yeah.
Saxon,
that's it. I was thinking his name's Saxon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic scene. I really
Oh, was it?
Such a good film.
I used to know that film word for word. What was it? It's only sometimes, but what's from learning about?
I honestly think that film is one of the best written scripts I've ever, like comedic scripts I've ever seen. Like there is not a wasted line of dialogue in that film. It's amazing.
It's really good masterclass in comedy callbacks and repetition
and payoff. Like everything is paid off. 100%. Every line is amazing. So good.
Yeah.
No, like catching them swans then.
For that, also
just the one swan actually.
Peppered in with the references to the other films in the trilogy, which it's so odd thinking of them as a trilogy because they're completely separate films, but they have a through dialogue of all 3 films that relate to each other, and to have that peppered into 3 disparate films is, it's such a cool case study of movies.
Yeah, I mean, by End of the World, you're like, how are they going to get Cornetto into this? It has to happen somehow. And they left it to the final scene. It's like one of the final shots.
When it blows against the fence and Nick Frost, it's just like, oh.
They are a great trilogy. But so yeah,
like Shaun of the Dead is by far my favorite film of all time. It is just
fair enough. It's a great movie, really good movie, and a horror movie. So that's
Well, and was it the? I don't know if it was the first instance, but it's certainly one of the most popular instances of a rom-com.
I think it's certainly popularized it. If it wasn't the first, I struggled to think of one before it, to be honest. I think it was probably the first. I don't know, but amazing film. Anyway, either way, incredible film. But
yours.
Yeah.
What have you been playing lately?
Oh, are we starting that? Oh, it's normally me that asks that question. You're okay.
Oh, I know. I beat you to it. I thought
yeah. I have been playing. I completed today because I got the week off, so I'm having some downtime. I completed Cultic episode 1 today, which was amazing. Probably
no idea what that is.
It's another in a long line of retro FPS shooters, retro style FPS shooters, modern retro throwback shooters. But honestly, it is one of the best that I have played, and I have played most of them. It is up there with Dusk it's a contender for one of the best retro style FPSs I've played. You basically play as a detective or ex-detective. You're kind of investigating this cult, and you get a little too close, and you hand in your badge, and you decide to go in anyway and just take on the cult yourself. So it's you versus this evil cult, and kind of the horrors that they're sort of summoning and creating. All in a retro style, but it's one. I think there's a lot of these retro style games that kind of do it for the sake of doing it. And then you get ones like this where you feel like actually they've purposely chosen this style because it absolutely fits the story, it fits the narrative, the world feels really good. It's not just retro for the sake of retro. It's an almost director's choice, if that would make sense. It's
fair enough.
Fantastic, and
there's some really clever mechanics in Celtic as well.
Oh, have you played it? Excellent.
I haven't played it, but I was looking at a lot into it because I thought it was so. I love the style of it, the visual style of it,
it's
where
great.
It's sort of a not. I don't know how to describe it. 3D, 2D, I guess is a way.
It's that kind of mid-90s. Yeah,
mid-90s. Early 3D then.
Yeah, and I love that it's actually got a ton of lore.
Yeah,
the lore is so completely optional. You can look at all the paperwork.
You can read all. I was reading all of them. I was like, I want to read everything. It's so cool.
But you can also just ignore it.
Yeah.
And I also love that there was a lot of mechanics of things like when you get headshots. About how isn't there certain enemies that you can headshot and take off their head, and there's a second head underneath? Am I right about that?
I don't think there's a second head. There may have been.
Be
I mean, things have got pretty hectic, but certainly headshots count and definitely make the difference in that game. You've got like really cool things like you can get like you pick up dynamite and you're like, okay, this is just like dynamite, like blood or something like that. Like I've used dynamite in FPSs before, but then you've got so many options of what you can do with the dynamite. At one point, if you've got Molotov cocktails, you can combine the Molotov cocktail with dynamite to make it an explosion plus fire. There's lots of fun with fire.
You can pick it up and throw it, can't you?
Yes. Yeah, you can throw lanterns and stuff as well. It's really fun, and it's all kind of.
When you said like when you shoot the head and there's another one underneath, that just made me think of Men in Black.
Oh, it made me think of Resident Evil 4 actually, but
no, Men in Black, where he says like Will Smith's like, "Don't make me do it, don't make me do it." Shoots him, blows his head up, and there's just this little head left, and he's like, "Why'd you do that? I got a shot to run."
But yeah, so
I know the one you mean, yeah.
Playing Cultic, and like I said, highly recommend that one. That's been absolutely fantastic. And then I've also been playing Visage, which is fucking terrifying. I was tempted to live stream it, but I didn't. It's a I think I have a theory. I don't know if this is true, but I have a theory that someone played PT and was like, I want to make a game like PT. So it's kind of got that vibe, almost. You could kind of almost compare it to Layers of Fear, in that kind of haunted house kind of way. Although Layers of Fear is much more visual, and Layers of Fear is a fantastic experience, but you will quickly realize, spoilers if you've never played Layers of Fear, nothing can hurt you in Layers of Fear. And once you realize that, it becomes far less terrifying, because like literally there's
you.
but whereas in Visage you absolutely can die and do die quite regularly. But it's just a haunted house simulator, really, with some really cool visuals. But it's just terrifying. It's just got some really horrible little things. It's the little things in horror games, I find, you know? It's not the big scares, it's the little things. Like, every now and again, you'll be in a room in Visage, you'll just look out of a door, and this creepy woman is just peeking around the corner, and the head just disappears. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, just little things like that. Terrifying. Especially in the dark. Which is how all horror games should be played, in the dark with headphones.
Yeah, I made the mistake of playing a horror game earlier because it was Halloween. It was a demo, Anthology of Fear.
Yes, I've seen a trailer for that. I haven't played it. What's it like?
It's like a psychological horror / puzzle game.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was There was a, from what I understand, because it's only the demo. In the beginning, you get out of a car and then go into this weird building.
Is it first person?
Yeah. And then, like, I went into this room and activated a TV. Just like it was just like a string of numbers. I turned round, the door was closed, and there was a mannequin stood there. And mannequins are creepy as fuck in the real world.
They are, yes. Inherently creepy.
In video games, I hate them even more.
I never knew whether my fear of that was just because I watched Terror of the Autons as a kid and it scared me then. But I guess maybe there's something inherently creepy about mannequins.
Like in the first scene, you kind of walk down this road and there's like these two mannequins. One's by a car, one's down the end of the road. And then in the demo, you have to go back down that road. And I stopped because I've realized the mannequins are not there anymore. Right. So the rest of my playthrough, I was like
wondering where they are.
Yeah, I did not like that. When I went into the room, turned on this TV, just looked around me, just because I know it's a horror game, so I looked around to see if anything's there. The door's shut. There's a mannequin holding the door shut. I'm like, oh, I don't want this. Why did I do this to myself?
I love it when games do that, when they make you feel not necessarily jump scares, because jump scares can be, artificially put in, but when a game has an atmosphere that makes you feel uncomfortable, to me that's awesome. That's great when a game can inspire that feeling.
It's the best. That is the best thing a horror game can do.
The video I've just uploaded, half of it is me just like switching backwards and forwards to make sure the mannequins haven't moved.
Have you ever played Condemned: Criminal Origins?
I love that game. That game is amazing.
I haven't, no, but
the mannequins.
Yeah.
Oh, the mannequins in that game, that got me. Like the same kind of thing of just them.
I'm not going to play it now.
When you turn around, you should totally play it.
No, I definitely should. And I should definitely record it, and stream it, because Durs will vouch for me when I say I'm good with horror movies, but horror games. Because I feel like
it's the interaction, isn't it? It's the interaction that does it, for sure. Because it's you in the game.
Well, the decisions you make puts the character at risk, so there's a bit more investment there.
Definitely.
Now, like a year or so ago, I was streaming Outlast 2. Yeah,
that was one of the funniest live streams I've ever watched. It was amazing.
It was just like constant panic. There was nothing. I was not getting anything done in the game because I was panicking too much.
It was like your brain just didn't work. Like you couldn't function. Like you couldn't get very far in the game because you were just so scared. Your brain just wasn't working. You couldn't do puzzles. You couldn't do anything. It was just like you were just running around in the dark, panicking. It was amazing.
Yeah, and then I rage quit.
Yeah,
about an hour in. It's just like, no, I can't do this. Fuck this. I need to go to bed.
It's too much. What have you been playing lately, Joe? Have you even had time to play games lately with Comic-Con and everything else?
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I was chatting to a bunch of my friends a while ago, and they've sort of started regularly playing a few games online, and I've joined in with them. And as I said, I've been streaming recently as
I
well.
know,
So
I keep missing your streams. I see them like the day after, and I'm like, God damn it! Because you're like every week now, pretty much.
That's the plan. Is for every Wednesday at 9 p.m. UK time, I'm streaming, and sort of it's variety. So I'm trying not to put too much pressure on it because it's just a bit of fun. But yeah, it's gone really well so far. Like I used to do it back in the day, but just life got in the way.
Stream?
On Twitch, which is twitch.tv/the Magical and then the number one. Because
do you want to drop that in the Discord chat? And I'll follow you now.
I will do in a moment.
Yeah, no worries.
So I started off by going. My thought was just like, let's do some easy ones first. Let's go for some pure nostalgia.
You did Metal Gear. I was pleased.
Yes. Played through the original Metal Gear Solid. It's on Good Old Games, and they've slightly improved the graphics on it. Not hugely, but
Good Old Games are fantastic.
Displays nicely.
They do God's work.
And it was really, really good fun. Died a lot in the Liquid Snake fight.
Oh.
That was hell on earth, but it was really good fun. Just because some of his moves are really cheap as hell.
It's actually quite an easy game until that part of that right at the end. It just gets really hard.
Yeah, the Rex fight and the like nothing really was a challenge until we got to the Rex fight and then the Liquid fight, and they got me a bit raging, but it was worth it. It was really good fun. I've also been playing through Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Oh, my favorite Zelda game of all time.
Same, me as well. Most people are like, oh yeah, Ocarina of Time. Or
I love Ocarina, but Link to the Past is a masterpiece.
Yeah, same. I agree, and I think I'm about a third of the way through that, which is really good fun.
So are you back on that this Wednesday, or are you going to switch to some horror, or what's your
not
plan?
sure. I like I said, because it's a variety stream, it's kind of whatever I'm in the mood for, which is really nice. And I've played some unusual things recently, and I've done some unusual streams recently. I had a very professional sandwich stream recently, which was very good fun.
Oh, cool.
Where I ate a sandwich on stream, and then we tier ranked sandwiches, different types of sandwiches, which was lovely. It was a great way to spend an afternoon.
Well, go on there. Give us your top sandwich.
Wait,
we need to know now.
No, BLT has to be at the top.
BLT was near the top for sure.
What?
Let me just find my.
He's got a list. I can hear. He's searching through paper for his list.
What can beat a BLT though?
Well,
BLT is the best.
The tier rankings online, where you can like create a tier list. You can go. So at the top, cheesesteak sandwich was one of the top ones.
No, BLT is better than that.
Oh, BLT. Okay, so there's D, C, B, A, and then S tier being the top. BLT was in A tier. So cheesesteak, a Cubano, which is ham, pork, Swiss cheese, pickles, and mustard. A gyro, which I don't know if I technically call it a sandwich, but basically a kebab, grilled meat, tomatoes, onions. It's kind of cheating. French dip. Have you ever had French dip sandwich?
No.
So it's a roast beef sandwich that you dip in beef jus.
Oh my god!
Which is like a reduced beef juice. So it's like super tasty. And a Reuben was on the top list as well, which is like beef, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, and Russian dressing, which is just it's incredible. But yeah, in A tier with BLT was bacon, egg, and cheese. A Thanksgiving sandwich, which is basically just a roast dinner sandwich.
Right. Those the Christmas sandwiches. Yeah.
Yeah. A fried chicken sandwich, which is basically just a burger. So again, I felt funny about that one. A po' boy. You ever had a po' boy?
No. What is that?
Fried seafood, lettuce, tomato, pickles, and hot sauce.
Oh
my god!
What? Why?
A patty melt, which is like a beef burger with cheese, basically, and onions. A roast beef sandwich with barbecue sauce or horseradish, and a banh mi, which is meat, pickled vegetables, cilantro, and mayo, but it's like from other cultures, as it were. But yeah, it was a huge. I think it was a really good fun stream. But that's slightly sidetracking.
Oh, that's this. I feel like every podcast I do ends up with massive sidetracking. It's just the way things are.
Also on stream, last week I played Rogue Genesia.
I don't think I've played that. What's that?
So it's a roguelike game, and it's a wave battle, which it's a kind of popular genre at the moment, where your character is top down, kind of like Diablo style, controlled in a never-ending map, and waves of enemies just start coming in from all edges. And every time
It's
you
like
kill an enemy,
Robotron.
you get every time you kill an enemy, you get experience, and then you use your experience or money to buy upgrades for your character. And there are lots of options as to the type of thing you can update. So you can choose what weapons you're using and
Oh, that
styles of
sounds
attack,
fun.
whether it's area of effect or whether it's directional and that kind of stuff. So it's all about trying to find the best kind of build. Rogue Janito, you play a knight, and you can either go for magic, swords, bows and arrows, shurikens. Kind of, there's a whole bunch of options, and yeah, it just you get sort of set a task of defeat 200 enemies, or defeat 1,000 enemies, or survive for 2 minutes. It's just these waves upon waves of enemies come towards you. So yeah, it's just a fun game to play. There's not a lot of story in it. It's just it's a little bit casual in that way, but that made it great for stream, because it meant I could just chat whilst playing it. But away from stream, I've been playing loads of Dead by Daylight.
Oh, how is it?
It's so good. Like, getting into the lore of Dead by Daylight is such a big thing, and because they've got all these tie-ins with
like every horror franchise in the world at this point.
Most of them, yeah. So you've got like Michael from Halloween is in there, and you've got Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. They've recently done a big Resident Evil expansion, so you've got Nemesis, you've got as one of the killers, you've got like Leon and Ada Wong and Jill Valentine and Rebecca Chambers as survivors and stuff. But yeah, so it's an asymmetric multiplayer, so 4 survivors versus a killer. The killer can kill survivors, but the survivors can do nothing to the killer. You are running your ass off and trying to repair enough generators on the level to open the door and escape.
Right. So the only option you've got is escape.
Yeah. Escape or death.
Yes.
But depending on what killer you face, it really drastically changes the game. So there's like the pig mask killer from Saw. Can not only slice you up and down you, they can also place a saw trap on your head. You know, the one where it's like
nice, yeah.
The jaw opening trap.
Yeah.
They place that on your face, and there's a timer on it. So even if you get away,
you still die.
There are things positioned around the map where you can attempt to disarm the trap.
Amazing.
Or you can run down the time and die. There's also Pinhead from Hellraiser, who over time will build up the ability to send out phantom chains to pierce your skin and slow you down and hold you up and prevent you from doing tasks. So somebody has to go and solve the cube that is randomly placed on the map in order to prevent everybody else from difficulty.
It sounds really fun.
Coordinate yourselves. It's so much fun. Like a lot of the basic mechanics are really simple.
Yeah.
In terms of find a generator, fix a generator, which is a series of quick time events, and spending the time doing it. Find an exit, open the door to the exit, and run away. If you get caught by the killer, run and try to escape or die. The killer is essentially just hunting down all of you, trying to down you. When they down you, they can pick you up and then they hang you on a meat hook.
Amazing.
That doesn't sound fun.
Right? There are meat hooks around the level. Whilst you're dangling on the meat hook, again, you've got a timer running down. And if you're dangling for too long, you are sacrificed to the entity, which is this overarching thing. But your friends, because there's 4 of you, can come and get you off the meat hook. But obviously, if they're doing that, it means they're not fixing generators. But if they successfully get you off the meat hook and the killer doesn't then kill you again, then you've got more people working on the generators. So again, there's that tactical element of
risk
how long do you
reward
leave it? Yeah, completely. And like I said, because the players play differently, the maps work out differently, because some of them have multiple floors, some of them are wider instead of taller, and yeah, so there's the minutiae of tactics and detail are really expansive, although the main gameplay loop is very simple. So as a multiplayer game with friends, it's a blast. It's just an absolute riot laugh, and there's always the what killer are we going to face this round?
Is it random?
No, so people can choose, but
okay.
the matchmaking can be very random. If you get together 5 players, obviously they can choose. but unless they tell you, it's secret until you drop into the map.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So even if you're playing with other players, if your friends don't tell you who they're playing as killer, you're not going to know until you're in the game, working on a generator, watching your back, and then suddenly, the wraith becomes uninvisible behind you and just starts attacking you. It's like, ah! There's so much like moments of stress and panic, and things like having the quick time events in order to do tasks or to heal people. It just adds that level of stress to it, which is really good fun.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like and I'm really glad that you've said that the different characters do different things and have different elements in the game, because I've seen all of these, these licensed characters turning up in it, and I was like, are they just skins though? Do they just do the same thing but just look like Pinhead? But that's so cool that you've actually got to solve the lament configuration and things like that, and that's fun. That's really fun.
You've even got things like so the Ghostface, the Scream Killer.
Yeah.
It works slightly similarly to one of the non-branded characters, as it were.
See, now the Ghostface you should be able to kick the shit out of, because that's how that works in Scream. He's very clumsy,
In a way, but essentially they've worked it very cleverly in that you can make it so, because normally when a killer is near you, you hear your own heartbeat getting louder,
right?
And it's a way to have some indication as to where the killer is. But people who play Ghostface often take, because you can also choose perks, which also randomizes all the killers and survivors as well.
Right.
But you can take a perk so the heartbeat doesn't happen, so you don't know they're coming until they're on you, which makes that killer a lot scarier. You can also do things like bleed. So not only if they stab you, even if they don't down you with the first stab, you are going to bleed out unless you have to stand still and do some quick time events to stop yourself from bleeding. So that kind of changes up the game as well. Nemesis has AI zombies.
Goddamn missile launcher.
No, he's got his tentacle instead. So
okay. He doesn't have the miniguns or the missile launcher or anything like that.
No, but with his tentacle, he can then infect you.
Oh, nice.
And so you have to go and get a cure for the infection. Wesker does an infection thing as well. He infects you with the black squirming worms. From Resident Evil, so I always say that we need to get our deworming tablets whenever we're facing Wesker. But yeah, with the Resident Evil ones, there are 2 AI zombies on the map as well, who can let the killer know where people are, and also they can attack the survivors. And suddenly you're not just facing one killer, but a killer and 2 minions.
That sounds really fun.
Which further complicates it. So yeah, they are very different from each other, but you also get to choose perks, which will be things like you can freeze out a certain amount of generators, or you can more easily see where survivors have been, because it leaves sort of scratches on the walls, kind of like footprints to follow when you're chasing people down. And the survivors can do things like have a greater chance to succeed at quick time events. They can have a thing where if they get unhooked, they actually, rather than having very little health, they have like half their health back. You can also have different ways of telling where the killer is, and yeah, so there's a lot of again, changing your loadout. You can also carry, as a survivor, you can carry an item, so you can have a health pack to be able to easily heal others, or a toolbox to aid you in fixing generators, or a flashlight, or flashbangs, which you can use to blind the killer temporarily when they're trying to like pick up your friends and do stuff like that. So yeah, really fun kind of tactical game in that way.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I
frequently descends into absolute chaos. But
well, that's all good. Chaos is fun.
You guys looked at the Into the Back Rooms.
The back rooms. I know what the back rooms are, but I didn't know it was. Is it a game based on the?
Oh yeah, they've made a game.
I didn't know they made a game. So the back rooms, Joe. I don't know if you know the back rooms. It's like a creepypasta thing, and it's basically that you can accidentally kind of. It's the idea is like in a video game you can no clip or accidentally clip through walls and stuff.
Yeah.
So the idea with the back rooms is that you no clip reality and you end up in this like void space, and it's basically like called the back rooms, and it's like an office facility, but it's like never ending.
Eternal office space.
and there's like levels. There's levels to it as well, so you can go through different levels of the back rooms, and there's also
So like an IRL Stanley Parable.
pretty much. But then it does get quite sinister because there's like things that lurk in there as well.
Yeah.
But I love the idea that you can just like be walking along the street and accidentally kind of fall through, like no clip through into this creepy like parallel thing, and you're like, oh god, I'm stuck here forever now. It's great. So I didn't know they made a game though. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's I think it might be pretty recent because like a lot of the YouTubers are playing it right now, so
that sounds fun.
They like to keep up with the trends, so I'm assuming it's pretty new.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. I didn't know that was a thing.
I've also just noticed that we need to change our overlay because
I know
no
it
longer
says
fun
Chong Games. I know.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
I only just noticed myself. But yeah. Well, anyway, that brings us on nicely to horror games. I guess let's go with horror games. I guess your favorite. I don't know if you want to do a top 5 or just like favorite horror games. I don't know who wants to go first. Chris?
Well, there's something I want to mention before we get into
go for it.
I don't know if we've discussed this on the podcast before, but obviously we're about to get an influx of remakes.
We are about to get an influx of remakes.
Yeah, there's a lot of Silent Hill games that have been announced.
Well, I'm very, very excited for Silent Hill 2, assuming they don't fuck it up.
Well, and also Dead Space is something I'm very excited about.
We have discussed Dead Space, but I'd love to hear your thoughts because we both love Dead Space, so we're very excited.
I'm actually currently playing Dead Space right now.
Oh, there you go.
I can multitask.
I'm cautiously optimistic about Dead Space.
I am not optimistic at all.
I'm more excited for what's it called?
Silent Hill.
Callisto Protocol.
The Callisto Protocol. Yeah, that looks. I think it looks better, but I'm looking forward to it. The only thing I will say is I think the original Dead Space, especially on PC, it still looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
No, it does. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what they're going to do.
Multitask.
Beyond. That's the thing. I would say the same thing about Silent Hill 2. Like graphically, Silent Hill 2 is not as chunky as Silent Hill 1.
Well, I have Silent Hill 2 on my PC, and I have it modded. So it's basically someone was so annoyed, and I don't blame them because it was a shocking state of affairs. Someone was so annoyed with the Silent Hill 2 remaster, or the Silent Hill 2 and 3 and 4 remaster that they did on PS3.
HD ones they did
the HD remasters, which are awful.
They did it for 360 as well.
Yeah,
I think.
they're absolutely terrible. So someone was so annoyed they did a PC version that's basically a true remaster, and they've done it amazingly well. It's really good.
I would love a link to that.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it. No worries, I will send it to you. It's fantastic. So I'm with you on that. But I think Silent Hill 2. I think it's between Silent Hill 2 and 3 for me. I really like 3 as well, actually. But Silent Hill 2 is certainly, if not my favorite, then my second favorite Silent Hill game, and it's the only one really where they can legitimately use Pyramid Head without it being a bullshit excuse. So I'm all for it.
Shoehorned in the other ones a little bit. Yeah.
People just do not understand. The developers or writers just didn't understand what he was meant to be. Like Pyramid Head is literally a figment of one person's imagination and nightmares. Yeah. Like how is this turning up in other people's things? This made no sense. But
I'm wondering if they'll go for a faithful remake or whether they'll go down the Resident Evil remakes route.
I'm wondering the same.
Yeah, because I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes.
Yeah, I thought they were great.
I had a great time with them, but I would have preferred those graphics, but mostly the original games. Because
I agree.
The story and the gameplay I thought were better in the originals.
Yeah, I played through Resident Evil 2 last year, original game, and it still holds up. It's fantastic.
I want to do it on stream. I want to do it as one of the games I play on stream is play the original Resident Evil 2. I just haven't found a good version of it on PC yet. I might have to emulate. Is it PS1 or PS2? Whichever.
PS1.
I thought it was PS1. Wow.
Yeah.
I might have to emulate PS1 to play the original.
I think the first Resident Evil game on PS2 is Code Veronica. They did a remake or not a remake, like a slightly remastered version of Code Veronica, and then obviously Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before you do that, you need to join me and Durs on a Left 4 Dead stream.
Yeah, I'd be well up for that. That'd be great
We
fun.
will make that happen.
That's always a laugh to play, especially if you start modding the models.
I didn't know. I hadn't got involved in that. That sounds like fun.
There is a so I've seen people mod it so all the zombies are xenomorphs instead, and you get special xenomorphs to do different things. So suddenly you're facing the horde of xenomorphs. One of the best ones I've seen is a bunch of custom characters. So it's like some of them are anime characters and all kinds of stuff, fighting against hordes of xenomorphs in Helm's Deep. And it was just like,
that's incredible.
This is ridiculous, but I love it.
I've seen one where all the zombies are Thomas the Tank Engine, and that was terrifying enough for me.
In a way, yeah.
Well, yeah, especially because every time they got close to you, the music, the Thomas the Tank Engine music, got louder and louder and louder.
Oh no, I could imagine that being an absolute cacophony.
Yeah, I don't think I'd wear headphones for that one.
Yeah, unfortunately I did. I didn't know what the mod was. My friend invited me, so it's like, yeah, this will be fun. I was like, no, this is hell.
Oh, why are your ears bleeding? Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. I may need to call an ambulance.
What was the question you were asking us before I rudely interrupted?
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, sort of, what are your favorite horror games of all time? But on the remake thing, what are your thoughts on the Dead Space remake?
Yeah, cautiously optimistic. Like, I think it's going to be great. But I do know that they are changing things.
Oh, are they? Okay.
But it's from what I've read, and obviously you never know, but things like the 0G stuff, the controls in the original game, a lot of people did not look upon favorably for the 0G stuff. So they've altered it so it's the controls from Dead Space 3 when you're doing the 0G sections. And to reflect that, they've also updated the puzzles so that it fits that control scheme better.
Now,
so
they did this.
It could be done well.
It could be, or it could end up like the Banjo, the Crash remaster, which everyone fucking hated because they took the jump mechanics from Crash 3 and put them into the earlier Crash games, thinking, well, it's better. But it kind of fundamentally broke the way things worked. And it's like,
I've got a fucking few things to say about the fucking Crash remake.
It doesn't play the way you remember it playing. So it's like,
no, what they did is they changed the hitboxes. Like in Crash 1, it was all squares. If you missed it by like a millimeter, you'd still land on it.
Yep, and they shaved everything off, didn't they?
They rounded it all off to the character, which is fine. But if you're like me, when you come from...
It made the game a lot harder.
It made the game more fucking infuriating. I sold it after 2 hours. I was like, not doing this. This is not the Crash I remember. Fuck off.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? And then going into these remakes and remasters.
Yeah, but
it's like, well, if you're changing it, there is a risk that you could just break it a bit,
Yeah, but it's hit or miss. Like the Crash remake, I was like, yeah, I love the remaster, but like you fucked the hitboxes, and some of these levels you can't physically make it. But then they remade Spyro.
Apparently, the Spyro remake's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I was about to say that. Yeah, the Spyro remake is absolutely fantastic. I love it. They made the game, one of my childhood games, 1,000 times better.
Yeah, that's really good news. Well, hopefully they will with Dead Space,
I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I do love Dead Space.
I just think that Dead Space is quite a recent game, relatively, and it still looks really good. And I just kind of feel like if you're going to bring it out and it's just going to be the same game but with better graphics, I'm just going to be like, well. It's
kind of like doing a film remake for a film that's not that old.
Exactly.
It's, sort of like,
it's still like 7 years old, isn't it? If
Yeah.
that's more.
That's way to see. That to me is nowhere near old enough for a remake. Personally,
I also kind
That's
of feel
because you're an old man.
I just don't want. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know the age. I don't know the age has anything to do with that. To be honest, I just think that a 7-year-old game is not old enough. It's just not old enough for a remake, in my opinion. Like, unless you're going to do something
I would agree.
amazingly different with it. Like, I still think Dead Space. Well, I mean, you said yourself just now, Dead Space still looks great. So it's like, what are we accomplishing? You know,
I'm still playing it right now. Admittedly, not very good because I'm focusing on YouTube. But
well, of course.
I also kind of feel like, and I feel this way about film remakes as well. It's like if something's been done well, I don't see why people are remaking it. Yes, you can put a new lick of paint on it; it can look beautiful. But if it was really, really good and you have a fond memory of it, why mess with it? Why aren't they remaking terrible stuff?
Yeah, fix bad games or games that had a lot of promise.
And the same thing with film. Go and find some terrible films that had some promise to it, something that should have been good that's been executed poorly.
Yes,
and turn it into a really great film.
Yeah, I agree.
Why remake something that has already been done really, really well? Like somebody talked about remaking Big Trouble in Little China a while back, and the only saving grace that it had was them saying that but it would be starring The Rock. I'm like, he is the only person who could have a chance of it being right.
Yeah, I mean, he is charismatic as fuck, so I can see him pulling it off, but
and him playing the clueless American dumped into fish out of water tale I could see that working, but like I still just like why are you remaking this? What is the point in remaking this? It's a phenomenal film that is lightning in a bottle, and you can't capture that twice.
Yeah, you cannot duplicate that.
Now, if anyone ever tries to replicate or do a remake of Event Horizon, I'm gonna find the director and punch him.
Right? Again, it's that film is
so good.
Yeah, but it's so unique and so different, and like I can't imagine them being able to capture that same horrific feeling from that film. That's such a good sci-fi movie. Like
the only thing they need to do with that is try, if the footage exists anywhere, and find the cut footage and put it back in. That's the only thing they need to do with that film.
Some people I think did put it on the internet a while back, but obviously it very quickly got taken down because it's extreme.
It's really extreme.
But Sam Neill also just.
He's so good.
Unless you could just recast him in the role again, I hesitate to say you could find someone better suited to that role. And the same thing with in the Mouth of Madness.
I actually watched In the Mouth of Madness yesterday. It's such a great movie, and he's fantastic. Yeah, you're right. There are just some people in roles that you just cannot recast. Like okay, let's recast Ellen Ripley. That is not possible. It's not possible.
Nope, not happening.
Exactly. There are just some roles that are uncastable. You cannot beat the original portrayal. Just don't even try.
Ellen Ripley is Sigourney Weaver. That's it. You cannot.
I think you'd have the same problem with Event Horizon.
To use the close analog, that has also been proven with Sarah Connor.
Yeah. Oh God.
Because the recasts of Sarah Connor, I would say, bar Lena Headey, who did a great job in the TV series.
Oh, that was fine. That was his own thing, and she was all right.
Yeah, it worked because the TV series isn't a movie, and so it was fine in that context. But everyone else they've cast as Sarah Connor or an analog for Sarah Connor just has not carried the film.
I remember watching.
Do you know what recast has actually annoyed me recently? Because there hasn't been a recast in a while that I've cared about.
Go on. Which one?
The Witcher.
Just in the news recently. Yeah, very very topical. Well done. Liam
Hemsworth. No. Just no.
I think Henry Cavill has made that role, like, because nobody believed in Henry Cavill before they saw him on screen. Well, some people did, but very few people did. A lot of people were like, Henry Cavill as The Witcher, I'm not sure about this. And they saw pictures and went, no, he looks way too chiseled for this. And then they saw him on film on the series, and they went, oh yeah, he's brilliant. Damn it. And people loved it. and he was
I know.
fantastic in the role, and now I just don't think they're going to be able to.
No, I know.
replace him.
Henry Cavill set down for personal reasons and to work on other stuff.
Oh yeah, good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, you've got to do it as an actor, haven't you? You can't be like typecast.
But it's
but
choice
like
of Liam Hemsworth.
Liam Hemsworth. I mean, it's The Witcher, so I'll watch it. I'm not gonna like him.
It's a shame because Liam Hemsworth, actually really good actor. I really like him. I rate him. I think he's
no. I agree.
Phenomenal roles.
I agree with you, but I don't want to watch him as The Witcher because that's Henry Cavill. He's set that because I played the games, and Henry Cavill played him flawlessly.
Well, Henry Cavill's a huge gamer and
a huge Witcher fan.
He's a fan of the books
exactly.
as well.
There's loads of jokes going around online that Henry Cavill just wanted to do an entire episode of him playing Gwent, and that's why he got fired and stuff, which I think is just hilarious.
Well, I mean,
and
there was
on brand, as it were. So
there was all of that shit with Roach in the last season, which, if the rumors are true, I can kind of see why Henry Cavill decided, like, fuck this. Like, especially now he's got Superman back. He's like, oh, I'm done. Because apparently the original plan for Roach's death scene was that it was going to be made into a joke. He was gonna like quip afterwards, and it was Henry Cavill that was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, no, you do not understand what you're doing here. Like, this has got to be an emotional scene." Apparently, if it wasn't for Henry Cavill actually stepping in and doing that, they would have just done it for laughs, which sounds horrendously tone deaf. But it's going to be interesting. I do kind of. I mean, I did make a joke with my friends the other day where I said, like, well, he's not coming in until season 4 because presumably it'll take, like, Wish one season to deliver him. But I do like, I like you though. I do like Liam Hemsworth. I think he's a great actor.
He is for sure.
This is a lose-lose situation because
yes,
he cannot do his own portrayal because it's literally following the next season. So he has to play. Yeah. He has to play it the way that Henry Cavill played it. But then at best, he's going to be a pale impersonation of Henry Cavill. He cannot win. Whatever he does, if he does his own thing, it'll be awful and out of place because it's the 4th season of a show. And if he just copies, it's going to be bad anyway. It's like, you can't win.
I think whoever they cast in that role.
Yeah.
Is going to be in the same situation as
for sure.
Like, on Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah.
No, hey, this is what I said. I'm not shitting on Liam Hemsworth because I love his acting. Mm-hmm. I love like his brother Chris's acting, especially as Thor, because I really, really like the Thor films above most of the Marvel films.
That's fair enough.
But you can't put someone in that position where they have to follow someone that you've been invested in for like 3 seasons and expect them to like accept it. I know there's going to be a lot of hate, and like I'm not exactly gonna like hate on him for his Witcher series, but it's not gonna be the Witcher that I've been watching. It's gonna be, you know what I'm trying to say. It's just weird.
Give him the benefit of the doubt, but I have a bad feeling. Sorry, Joe?
I was just saying it just feels a bit odd, and it's strange to cast a role that has become, in a fairly short time, quite iconic. For Henry Cavill. Anyone's going to be resisting a casting that's become such a strong part of that series. Like you say, though, open-mindedness should prevail, and we should
hopefully
give it a chance. But ultimately, I think the series has dropped the ball by allowing Henry Cavill to leave. Like,
I agree.
I feel like if they valued him more and given him a reason to stay, they would be reaping the benefits from it.
And maybe
I also I agree but disagree. Because from what I've read, Henry Cavill left of his own accord because he wanted to work on other stuff.
Yeah, but would he have done that if they were respecting the Witcher lore and actually doing things the way he felt it should be done?
Or if they were just saying, you know what, great, you want to go and do us stuff, we'll give you some
We'll
time
wait.
off.
Yeah, we'll wait.
We'll wait until
Mhm.
the next series because this series shouldn't continue on without you.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it might mean that we as watchers have a longer wait, but surely that's just going to make people anticipate it even more. You know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
look at the fucking hype that was about what's it called? Knock off Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. That's it.
That's the most brutal description of Game of
Knock
Thrones
off Lord of the
ever.
Rings.
Knock off Lord of the Rings.
I'm not even sure they're really that comparable, to be honest. But they're...
Dear Game of Thrones, would you like some aloe vera for that burn?
It's right though.
Is
Yeah.
it? They're kind of polar
well,
opposites tonally, but yeah.
Yeah, but
Not really.
There
compare
are
them
swords.
as fantasy elements, but yeah, apart from that, they are very different in a lot of ways. That tickled me.
But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. I was just going to say, we'll see with The Witcher. You know, we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it because like I like the Witcher games. I've got some of the books, which I've read. Not all of them, admittedly. They're very long.
I've never read any of them actually. It's on my list.
They're very long. Like 900 pages per book, and there's like I think there's like 4 maybe. I mean, I've got 2.
Right.
There might be more, but they are very long. They are a hell of a lot more in depth than the film series, not film.
Well, you can do a lot more in a book, but yeah.
Yeah.
But Henry Cavill playing it was after like reading some of the books, not all of them. Like when I heard the Witcher series, I had 2 people in mind to play the Witcher. It was Mads Mikkelsen.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Or Henry Cavill, and they picked Henry Cavill, and it was amazing. So I'm still gonna watch it going.
You've still got a season. You've still got a season of Henry Cavill. Yeah. So,
mate, I've only just finished season 2, so I've got.
Well, there you go.
2 seasons.
Yeah.
But yes, you asked about our top 5 horror games,
or just top horror. Yeah, if you top 5, if you got top 5, if not.
Oh yeah, sorry, I derailed it with.
That's all right, man. It's
a Witcher chat.
Witcher is a game series as well. It counts.
I have a problem with the top 5 is that I can't.
It's too many games. Yeah,
there's too many games that I totally rate.
I have the problem that I don't play horror games because, as Durs will reiterate, I am very bad at horror games. I panic.
Is it that you're bad at them, or is it more that they get to you too much?
They get to him, I think.
Yeah, no, they get to me. I'm good with horror movies, but like when I'm put in the position when I'm playing a horror game, like I'm like kind of in the horror movie.
I think that's what really makes the difference, isn't it? You know, it's your actions. It's you in the game. That's.
I panic. I was streaming Outlast 2 like probably about 2 years ago, and Durs was watching, and I don't know, this thing jumped out at me, and I didn't know what to do, so I kind of threw the controller and started hitting the keyboard, even if the keyboard.
Not the most rational of responses.
No, it was amazing.
No, even if the keyboard was attached to my Mac, not my computer, not to my console either. So I was just hitting the keyboard, was doing nothing. I was panicking more and realized, oh no, this is not attached. Had to pick up my controller and died.
And then quit.
Yeah, and then rage quit.
Good job.
It was incredible to watch. It was one of the best live streams I've ever watched. It was short, but it was brilliant.
It was about an hour long. That's about it.
You did last a little while, yeah. To be fair, it was probably longer than it seemed when I was laughing at you. Yeah, good fun.
No, it's pure panic.
Do either of you have a top 5 prepared?
No. I was just thinking, like, talk about our favorite. We don't have to do top 5. I just pulled top 5 out of my ass, but we don't. Really.
I got a top 5 horror films. I don't have a top 5 horror games because, as I've just said, I don't play a lot of horror games because I panic.
I could probably do that.
I was thinking of top 5 horror games whilst we were talking about The Witcher, and so I've got.
Oh, go on, go for it.
I mean, I've got 7 rather than 5.
Yo, well, no, list them, man. That sounds great.
Go for it.
So, an easy one is The Last of Us.
Sure.
Just
I found that game very, very underwhelming.
Did you? I really liked it.
Respectfully, you're wrong, but no, you're not wrong. It's personal opinion. But
well, respectfully, remember whose podcast you're on. So, no, I'm joking.
But yeah, just for me, it's I found it super polished and
we need to get rid of this guy.
The storytelling was just like exceptional for me, and
it was too slow.
Oh no, I liked it. I liked it. I agree.
I love the slow burn. Yeah, I love that it didn't feel the need to rush the story. It didn't feel the need to go down that route. And instead, again, like I said before, it built atmosphere for me. Yeah. It built.
I think if the narrative wasn't so strong, then I'd probably agree with you, Chris. But I think because the narrative was so strong, I didn't mind the slow burn. I was invested. I was happy to take the time. You know.
Yeah. And
it took like almost 2 hours to get into the full story. Maybe that's just because I'm bad at playing the game, but it took me like 2 hours to get into like the main story. And I was
Wait till you play Red Dead Redemption 2. It'll take you like 3 hours before you get off the goddamn mountain.
That game is so slow to get into. Yeah.
Amazing game, but I literally gave up for ages, and I was like, I don't see why everyone's so obsessed with this game. And then eventually I got past that, and I was like, oh my god, this is one of the greatest games ever. But yeah, it took a while.
It took like 2 hours to get into like the main storyline, to get out of the city, to like be able to actually go free roam. And I was just like, no, it's 2 hours of my time. I don't fucking want that.
Fair enough.
That's fair enough.
I'm with you on that one, Joe.
Yeah, I would also say it was really nice to have a effectively zombie game where they took a different twist on it. And zombies have been sort of done to death in so many different directions.
Oh goodness,
but
yes.
To see something refreshing in the world of zombies is a rarity. So them going down there.
I'm probably gonna cause a riot here, but my favorite like zombie game or game mode, I'm sorry, but Call of Duty Zombies are my favorite. It's just so good.
Yeah, a really polished zombie
game.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly thought you two were just gonna go, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, that was good fun.
If it was a standalone game, it doesn't have much in the way of storyline.
No,
it has a sort
as an add-on. It's awesome.
A fairly simple gameplay loop. But yeah, as an add-on to an addition to the game, it was such a good, and it breathed so much life into that franchise.
I know people that buy those games just for that now. They buy it just for the zombies.
Right? Yeah, that's me.
There you go.
But like, Durs, I was talking to you like actually probably about a year ago when I got Black Ops 3 when I was still on my PS3, PS4 even, about that open world zombie mode that they had on Black Ops.
Yeah, it sounded
Black
fun.
Ops 3. Yeah, no, that was really fun. I was looking at it earlier and it's like 60 quid and it's like, shit, I've only got 7p.
So, Joe, what's next on your list?
Alan Wake.
Oh, Alan Wake's fantastic. The first one, anyway. I wasn't so keen on American Nightmare, but
American Nightmare felt like an add-on.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like.
Yeah, if it was an add-on, it would have been okay. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But the first Alan Wake, just again, great storyline that I really got on board with. Graphically, I really enjoy it. Again, nice twist on the gameplay, using the torch to break down the shadows and stuff. It's just something that's a little bit different. And again, immersive atmosphere and storytelling is something that I love in video games in general. You'll see a lot of that. Some of that in this list. Anyway.
And one of the rare instances where a team made the right call, and in a time when everyone was doing open world, they started making Alan Wake open world, and then they went, actually, this is going to distract from the story. Let's not make it open world. Let's make it smaller, narrative based, and it's so much better for it, in my opinion. Alan Wake's fantastic.
I would also argue it's got one of the best replay options in a game I've played in a long time, because you can play it through the director's commentary, where not only do they talk about their decision making and world building and how they made the game as you're playing it, it also has little pop-up windows with behind the scenes footage and then doing talking moments to camera stuff. So it just means you get to play through the whole game again whilst learning about it. It made it a really entertaining way to have like a behind the scenes documentary, basically, which is a really innovative sort of way of doing that, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I was trying to put my point in there, and then for the last minute I realized my microphone was muted.
Oh no.
Well, welcome back.
What were you going to say?
I don't fucking know now.
Oh. What's next on your list, Joe?
So as we were discussing earlier, Silent Hill 2.
Joe, I do want to say, when are you going to be free to play some Left 4 Dead with me and Durs?
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll have to put a date in the diary.
Yeah.
We'll look through some stuff after the podcast, maybe.
Yeah, we'll get something together.
Find a date.
Silent Hill 2, yes, masterpiece.
Widely considered one of the best horror games ever.
Certainly one of the best survival horrors, I think.
Yeah, like most horror game designers and devs cite it as one of their biggest influences for a reason.
Yeah.
Just really great elements of psychological horror. I would say some of the gameplay is very dated.
Oh yeah,
there
for
are certain
sure.
issues with it for now, but just especially at the time and then its lasting legacy, like I couldn't not put it in my top 5.
I agree. It would absolutely be on my list.
Yeah.
See, I don't play many horror games. Like, well, Durs, you've seen me play Outlast 2, and we will speak no more of that. We will speak no more of that stream. It's just about an hour of me screaming. But The Forest actually got me.
Oh yeah,
Forest is a creepy game. That like, it gets. You kind of think like, oh, this is the loop. It's not that scary, and then you go into the caves and you start building, and the more you do, the weirder and things get. And yeah, that game, when you're in the caves, that game gets really creepy.
No, but what the funny thing is when I was back streaming like every day, one of the people following me was like, "Oh, check out The Forest, but don't look up anything about it."
Mm.
So
usually a red flag.
Yeah, you should have known something was up at that point.
Yeah, so I played The Forest for the first time without any insight to what it was, and when I started, I thought, "Oh, this is just like a survival crafting game, like The Raft or something like that."
Yeah,
and it was fine for the first like 2 nights.
But the thing with the forest
on the third night,
the trouble with the forest as well is the more you build up your base, the worse it gets. And if you don't know that, and you just keep crafting, you're just making things worse for yourself constantly.
Yeah, I was getting to that one. So like on the third night, I was like looking out. I was chopping wood, looking out, and I was like, I swear I just saw something move. I swear I did. But then I just put it out of my mind, like, no, this is just like The Raft, carry on. And then I started hearing shit. I was like, this isn't normal. And because I had built this like big fucking base, like a cabin,
I get all the deformed monster things coming.
I had built like a wall round my cabin. I was about to go to sleep, and it is just like not allowing me because like monsters were too close or some shit like that.
You're about to get bulldozed by a lumpy monster.
Yeah. I was just hearing this banging on the walls. So I was like, "How the fuck is this?" Because I honestly thought this was just like you're on this island, survive,
Yeah.
build up enough resources and shit, and get out of there.
Have you looked
So
at
I-
Green Hell?
No, so I opened
I
the door.
have, actually, Joe, to your point, Green Hell, I thought that was the same game for ages. I thought Green Hell and The Forest were the same game because they came out around the same time. It's really confusing.
My thought is if you were enjoying The Forest before it turned into a horror monstrosity, Green Hell might be slightly more up your alley, because although there is some elements of that in it, it is more.
Oh no, I still love the horror aspect.
Okay.
It was just a very, very
Just
big
unexpected.
surprise. Yeah, because I heard the knocking on the walls. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Opened the door and they rushed in. I was like, "Oh shit!"
It's brown trousers time.
Clean up an aisle 2.
So, where were we? Silent Hill 2?
Yeah, sorry, I derailed.
No, it's
No,
good.
you're
No.
good.
The Forest is a good call. That's a really good call.
Yeah, definitely good mention for the.
We need to play it again without that random Twitch streamer that knew where everything was.
Yes. Never invite
Um,
random people into your game when you're streaming. That's
Hey,
nice.
I was kind of drunk.
Well, there's probably a lesson in that too.
Don't drink and stream.
Not live stream. Good lord.
Is there any other
Bioshock.
kind of streaming?
Sorry, Bioshock.
Bioshock, yes.
Awesome.
Which is difficult to say which one, but the series really.
I would probably, yeah. I mean, I think the first one's probably the best of the Bioshock games. I'd probably say System Shock or System Shock 2 personally, but yeah, amazing games. That first Bioshock is it's still one of the best looking games. Like,
And that's the
it's
first one is also
gorgeous.
the most horror, I would say, as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I recently just got Bioshock 1 through 3 on
Had you played them before?
so no.
Oh, cool!
No.
You're in for a treat, man. The first one's fantastic.
Well, I played a little bit. I played like an hour
Mhm.
on PS4, and obviously that doesn't get you very far. Well, it didn't for me because I'm probably bad at the game. But yeah, I've got like 3 of them. Bioshock 1, 2, and 3. I'm not sure if there's any more. I'm pretty sure there is, but
There's
I
only
got them
3 at the moment.
but
Yeah,
isn't
there's
there like
three Bioshocks? There are some tangentially related games.
Yes.
yeah? Isn't there like Bioshock Infinite and shit like that?
That's the
That's
third.
the third one.
What the fuck do I have then?
I don't know.
You carry on. I'm gonna check.
You probably have Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite.
Probably.
But they might have listed it as Bioshock 1, 2, and 3.
Or
But
Bioshock Collection.
Yes, yeah, I think that's what it is.
But yeah, Bioshock's fantastic, and like you said, the first one is definitely the more horror leaning of the bunch. I remember
Those
being
fucking
terrified by
bi-
those.
Those big daddies are.
They're really
a pain in the
scary,
ass.
and they're really scary at first as well. I thought.
Yeah, and just the concept of the splicers, these overly genetically manipulated, sort of addicted to body
What the fuck is a
modification.
splicer?
Well,
It's
yeah, I
the
have to play
generic
again.
enemies you see around, yeah. But yeah, just the absolute grim things that you find in the darkness. Yeah, and
Yeah,
just
you're
also
right.
the
I've
subtle
got-
stories that is told through like the audio logs that you find and stuff like that. Again, add to that lore and that sort of like foreboding that you feel as you wander around the levels. It's
Yeah,
just
you're right. I've got Bioshock Remastered, Bioshock 2 Remastered, and Bioshock Infinite
There you go.
nice. Good collection.
with a weird name. Bioshock Infinite Complete Edition.
Oh yeah, it's just got the DLCs and stuff probably.
Yeah.
It's just they've added everything back in. Yeah, Bioshock's a solid one for the list. What's your next one, Joe? I don't know if these are in order or if they're just
Oh no!
a list. Just a
placing
list.
them in order
Yeah.
would take hours and hours.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me to
that's
actually
fair.
figure that one out.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2, which we don't really need to cover anymore.
No,
We've kind of talked
absolutely
about that already.
fantastic.
Alone in the Dark.
The original.
The OG.
Amazing game.
Uh,
Another remake on the way.
yes, which is part of the reason I thought about it.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid.
Oh, it's amazing.
This is pre-Windows, I think. And like I remember playing it in
Yeah,
DOS.
it was DOS. Yeah, it was DOS.
On a 386 PC, just like way back in the day. You have to press, I think I can't remember what button it was. I think it's like you press enter and it changes you from exploratory mode to combat mode. And you have to press space bar to kick and like control to punch when you're in the combat mode and stuff. It was so clunky.
It was, but I mean, arguably without Alone in the Dark, Resident Evil doesn't happen. I mean, it's that. I mean, it's not necessarily the first survival horror game. You could argue, there've been survival horror games back on the Atari, but I think it's the one that really set the stage and kind of the template going forward.
Yeah. I think it was released in 1992.
Yeah.
For PC, so it's a fairly long time ago. But that was I would have been 9 years old at that point.
Terrifying.
When I first played it, and it was my first time experiencing anything that would be described as Lovecraftian.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of twisted.
I actually think it's probably the same for me. Actually, I'd probably say it was my first introduction to it too.
It was the first time I played a survival horror game. It's the first. I think it might have even been the first horror game I ever played. But as a child, I just remember being absolutely fascinated by these strange creatures that you had to fight against. The odd effects of putting on music discs in this strange haunted house of a game. I tried to replay it recently and realized how awkward the controls are now.
Oh, it's a difficult. There are some games that you just cannot really go back to, and that is one that's very awkward and hard to get back into.
But the Guinness World Records awarded it the record for the first ever 3D survival horror game.
It
was super early polygonal 3D.
Yeah. And for 92, I mean, that is crazy,
Yeah, it was a huge leap forward. But yeah, so would I count it as if I were to play it now? Would it be in my top 5? Maybe not.
I don't think that matters. It's the experience. Yeah, it's the experience you had.
The experience I had as a child, and the nostalgia I have with that. Just like,
and in some ways, it's very unfair to apply modern expectations on a game like that. It was trend setting, and it was terrifying at the time for sure.
And the other game I could think of was Narcosis.
I don't think I've played it. Tell me about it.
So, Narcosis was an indie horror game that a friend of mine recommended to me. It's a first-person survival horror in essentially on a seafloor.
I've seen clips of it. It looks really cool. Is this when you're in the sub thing?
Yeah, so it's not a sub. It's like a research station on the seafloor. Have you ever seen The Abyss, the movie The Abyss? Kind of like that kind of place where they're doing research in the deep sea. Things don't go to plan.
As they never do.
You are in your dive suit.
I'm back.
Station.
Oh, I was thinking of Iron Lung. Sorry, it's a different indie game.
Oh, yeah, that is also very good. But in Narcosis, you're in a dive suit, the station is flooded, and you are slowly running out of oxygen and sanity at the same time. It describes it as that you're in a high-tech dive suit, essentially a walking coffin. So yeah, it's the more high stress that you end up in, so the things that you see that stress you out, whether it be sea creatures or other, accelerates your intake of oxygen.
Amazing. That's
so
a really fun game mechanic.
The worse stuff you get into, the more your oxygen depletes, making time your enemy even more so. So it's really clever. It touches on some eldritch Lovecraftian stuff. And also talks about sanity. Again, there are audio logs that you find as you walk around, which add to it. There is some combat elements and some puzzle elements to it as well. I wouldn't necessarily call it a walking simulator, but it's not too far away from being a walking simulator. The combat is sparse, and the puzzles are sparse, but it's just got a great atmosphere, and it really took me for a ride. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out. Don't think I've ever heard of that game. I was thinking of Iron Lung, which is a different kind of, it's still a horror underwater thing, but yeah, that sounds quite different. That sounds really fun. I love that mechanic of you using more oxygen the more scared you get. That's a really fun, tense mechanic. Yeah.
It reminds me of Subnautica.
Yeah.
Totally.
And when you get to certain parts of Subnautica, there are certainly what feels like horror elements to it. I wouldn't describe Subnautica as a horror game. It's a really fun game.
Oh, no, not at all. I'm just saying it reminds me of Subnautica.
But the panic of running low on oxygen in Subnautica does put the willies up you. And I know some people who are afraid of things like open water who have found Subnautica as a horror game. So what I'm saying, your mention of it is very apt.
Yeah.
It's very on brand, yeah.
So I think you've pretty much covered most of the games I would have put in a top 5 there. The only ones I would add, Fatal Frame 2 or Project Zero 2 over here. PS2 game. I don't know if you've ever played the Fatal Frame series.
What about Fear?
I'll get to Fear, but I don't know if you've played Project Zero. You've ever played Project Zero?
I haven't played it, but I am aware of it. I've seen people play it, so I know the game you mean.
Terrifying.
Putting yourself behind a camera instead of a gun suddenly does make you feel a lot more vulnerable as well.
And you talk about the atmosphere. The atmosphere in that game is ridiculous. It's so tense. It has that. It's the first game I remember playing where I really had that, like, I can't go on anymore. I need to stop and walk away because it's just freaking me out too much. You know, when like you're just like, I am so tense playing this that I just need to stop and I'll come back to it. You know, so yeah, I would definitely say Fatal Frame 2 specifically being the best of the original 3. Fear's great. I don't think Fear again is there's not much horror in Fear, but it's a really good game. Amazing.
Some phenomenal jump scares in Fear.
Yeah, there's some good jump scares. Yeah.
There's so many moments in Fear which got me hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, are a bit of a badass. So it kind of takes away from the fear element.
It does when you're
an assault rifle and just starts
bullet time, man. Yeah.
I remember a single moment in Fear which really got me was when you're climbing a ladder and you reach the top of the ladder.
Oh God, yeah.
And there is an apparition in front of you, right at the top of the ladder. You come upon it so suddenly.
Yeah.
And I think your character even falls off the ladder.
I think he falls back.
Right,
yeah, I think he does. Yeah.
And then when you look up, it sort of like fades away into ashes as it disapparates and things. It just goes. But I'd say the same for like Doom as well.
Yeah,
Doom has some great horror moments, but I wouldn't call it a horror game.
I call Doom 3 a horror game, but
yeah, that's fair.
but not Doom. But I mean, it's a very different game, you know.
I've got Doom 3 installing right now.
That's Doom 3 I think is a horror game. Other Doom games, I agree, Joe, absolutely. It's like they've got horror elements, but I wouldn't call them horror games.
Yeah. Doom 3 has. I still struggle calling it a horror game. I would say it has way more horror elements than the other Doom games, but I still don't think it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's certainly not a survival horror or anything like that. I wouldn't call it a survival horror.
I do remember in Doom 3, there's another really good moment that sticks out, which is a horror element, which is a corridor you're walking down, and there's an offshoot to the left, and you can hear a sort of a over here, help me, and you go down this corridor, and it goes down a little bit, and it's like, oh, help me, and you come towards this door, and you try and like open the door, and it suddenly goes, the door is locked, there's no way through, all the lights go out, and it says, they stole my baby in this, and you hear this screaming child, and then all the lights come back on, and nothing happens.
No,
and it's just
but then it's just enough to keep you on edge for ages after that, because you're like, something's gonna happen.
Like earlier today, I was playing the demo of like Anthology of Fear.
Yeah.
And I was going down this corridor, and there was this crying / screaming, and there was nowhere else to go. So I was like, I've got to go back down here. I've got to go back down here. As I was getting closer, it was getting louder and louder. And then there was like nothing. So I was like, oh, I'm fine. I look back, there's this fucking mannequin right in my face that wasn't there before. And
is this game just mannequins? Is that the thing with this game?
I think you were playing Mannequin the game.
Mannequin Simulator.
Hey, you two go play the demo and
I'll definitely give it a go. It sounds fun. No, yeah, I said, as we said earlier in the show, I actually do find mannequins really unsettling anyway. I remember being creeped out by the mannequins I was creeped out by the mannequins in Skyrim, the ones that fucking move because they programmed them with fucking AI because they're idiots. That's terrifying. The mannequins in Skyrim, you got the mannequins that you put armor on. You know, like if you want to display your armor and stuff. They used to move occasionally.
No, the worst bit is when you'd go to somewhere, and where a mannequin was, the mannequin's not there anymore. You're like, okay, that's moved. Pick up something, turn round. There's one in your face. That scared the shit out of me.
You should have live streamed it.
Because I walked down and it's like, oh yeah, there's nothing there. I've walked down the street, there's nothing there. Picked up the gas can, turned around, there's a mannequin in my face. I'm like, you were not there before. And like, well, I've uploaded a video. I spent the entire time backpedaling, just looking at that mannequin, backpedaling, going, you're not gonna fucking move. I'm looking at you. You're not gonna fucking move.
You know, the second you look away, though, that's, you know.
Oh, they did.
That sort of don't blink feeling to it, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like Doctor Who and the fucking Weeping Angels.
Yeah.
But no, that I will say that when this game comes out fully,
is it not out completely yet? So it's just a demo at the moment, is it?
No, I just played the demo. Yeah, it took me about half an hour.
Okay, cool. I'll give it a go. I might give it a go in the morning.
Oh no, it's really good. It's creepy, but it's really good.
Yeah, cool.
But when this game comes out fully, I'm a massive pussy when it comes to fucking horror games, but I'm definitely gonna get this game because I know it's gonna be good content.
It'll be fun content watching you terrified.
Yeah, you two can both laugh at me while I shit myself.
I will definitely laugh at you while you play it. Absolutely.
Oh, I know you will, Durs. I know you are.
But yeah, man, that's well, I think we've covered some pretty good horror games there.
We missed one.
Well, go for it.
Alien Isolation.
Oh, no, that is a solid choice. A solid choice. Alien Isolation is, I don't know, like the only Alien game ever made that properly captures the feeling of Alien. I think, like it absolutely feels like Alien. It's.
I will agree with you there. I mean,
Alien versus Predator, fun, and more aliens. I mean, I think most of the games skew towards aliens. Whereas it's absolutely captures. I mean, I love just the opening of that game when you're on the ship going to the station before you get to Sevastopol. I loved just being on that ship and just walking around and being like, oh my god, I feel like I'm on the Nostromo. It's everything. Yeah. The attention to detail, all the noises, the visuals, everything. It's such a love letter to that.
And then the first time the alien comes, you shit yourself.
100%. It's also they captured the retro tech.
Yeah, that's what I love. All that stuff is
like,
so good.
It just feels so tactile, and all those elements of the buttons and switches, and just like the like you say, the attention to detail blew me away playing that game. I remember playing it first at an EGX convention.
Cool.
Before it got full release. So me, my partner.
All right, calm down, Mr. Famous Voice Actor.
Well, anybody could have done that. It was on the show floor, as it were. But it was me, some friends, and my partner all got to play it. And you get like 15 minutes, and there was a thing of how far can you make it in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So we all played our 15 minutes and then got out the other side because we were in separate booths. And it was like, oh, how far did you make it? How far did you? Oh, did you get the flamethrower? Oh no, I didn't get the flamethrower. Where was it? And just sort of chatting. And then we turned to my partner and said, where were you throughout? You know, how far did you get? And she's like, not very far. I'm like, well, yeah. Well, what happened to you? It's like I got into a cupboard and I hid there.
Just stayed in the cupboard.
She was so terrified.
Yeah.
The alien. She was hid in the cupboard for 15 minutes and didn't feel like she could do anything else. Bless her. Like, it was amazing.
It is. There are those moments in that game where you're like, oh god, I know where I need to go, but I know as soon as I move, like the second I move.
I wish like Alien Isolation was like multiplayer, because could you imagine 4 people just absolutely panicking, trying to like hide and get away,
trying to will
and,
the other one to move because you're too scared.
But
wouldn't that just be fucking hilarious?
I do find multiplayer and horror.
It does definitely detract. Definitely.
It would be the same in real life. You know, if you're in a scary situation, if you're surrounded by your friends, it's not as scary. And it's like, especially in Alien Isolation, if there's one alien, one person, if one of you knows, I know where the alien is, suddenly everybody knows where the alien is.
There isn't just one alien in Alien Isolation, though, is there?
Well, that's spoilers, but yes.
I was gonna say, if you haven't finished it, you will know there are lots.
I find Alien Isolation much like Alien. You kind of go in thinking the alien's terrifying, and then you meet the androids, and the androids are just as terrifying.
Do you know what I really want to play? Alien Fireteam Elite.
Oh yeah, that's more of an action game, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
For aliens, basically.
Yeah, but like last year, like my brother really wanted it for PS5, so obviously I got it for him for Christmas, and he said nothing but good things about it.
Oh, cool! That's good.
So I really want to get it because it just, Left 4 Dead for aliens, but it looks so cool.
Yeah, it looks fun.
People have said very positive things about Fireteam Elite as a fun thing, but not as a horror or atmosphere thing. And
no, not at all horror, but it just, we were talking about aliens. I thought I'd bring it up.
Aliens Fireteam Elite is also on sale on the Steam store right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I have 7 pence in my bank account. I cannot do anything.
You'll have to wait for a payday then.
Friday, and the sale's going to be over.
Oh no!
It'll come back. The Fireteam's been out for a while. I'm sure it'll come back on sale again soon.
Definitely, especially towards Christmas and stuff, where the sales start digging in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Closer to Christmas. But then I'm not gonna buy like games for my friends. Or family. I'm gonna buy it for myself.
Well, yeah, present from you to you. Nothing wrong with that.
There you go.
Sorry, family. None of you get any presents because I bought 20 games
instead of them.
That's not what Joe said.
Oh, as well as an addition.
No, instead of.
But yeah, this has been good, man. I'm trying to think if there's any other games we've missed there. I think we've covered most of the what I would consider the top tier games.
What about there's I don't have it, but I've played it at a friend's house. The Hunt for Bigfoot game.
I've not played it. I've played
that shit. That shit can be terrifying.
I played like Witch Hunt and Skinwalker Hunt. Those are pretty good.
Fun. The Bigfoot thing I think can have scary moments, but again, I wouldn't necessarily call it a horror game. Again, it's very multiplayer based, and it's sort of like, yes, you're chasing a thing in the forest, and that can be kind of scary. But it doesn't take you down too much of a journey.
Yeah,
I will agree with you. I will agree with you, but if you play it with the right people, it can be fucking shit scary.
Yeah, 100%.
So technically. If it scares you, it's kind of a horror. I know it's not technically.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So we can put this one on like a maybe horror game then, like in the middle. You agree with that definition, like in the middle horror game?
Yeah, but it's also like
it's subjective.
Yeah, you would put it on your list, and I wouldn't necessarily put it on mine. You know, it's like a lot of it is so subjective. Like nobody's top 5 is going to look the same as it were.
No.
We're not saying we have to come to
It's
a
the same
a
with
full
films.
consensus
Like
or anything,
certain
but-
things scare people and don't scare other people, and that's half the fun.
Oh, do you know what the funniest thing is? Back when I was like 12, I think. Like me and my cousin were left alone in my house. My dad went to play Skittles or something, and we were like, "Oh, let's watch a film that like my dad said we shouldn't watch." We watched Scream for the first time.
Mhm.
12 years old, that'll be a scary film, yeah.
Yeah, you know the like within the first 10 minutes.
Did you get past the phone call?
No, yeah, when they like hang the woman by her own guts in the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we turned that film off like 12 times.
Bless you. Oh, that's amazing.
I was 12.
Yeah, no, 100%. At 12 years old, that's
12,
a
yeah.
scary damn movie.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you know what the funny thing is? It took me until I was 25 to watch that film again.
I think if you're scared by something as a kid, that will stay with you. And it does become that kind of like, it will probably be laughable if you watch it as an adult, but because you've got that memory as a kid, it's like psyching yourself up to actually see it again. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I watched it. I watched it a few days ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is nothing." But like, I was like 12, maybe 13, and watching this woman being hung by her own intestines. I was like, "No!" And my cousin was like, "No!" So we turned it off, and then we was like, "No, we can get through it." So turned it back on, and then turned it off, and then turned it back on, and turned it back off. Literally, it took us about 12 times to watch the entire film.
Well, anyway.
It's scary when you're 12.
Yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, anyway, man, this has been fun. I'm trying to think if there's any other games. Realms of the Haunting, I would put on a horror game list. I don't know if anyone's ever played that game other than me.
Oh, I'm curious there.
It's an old.
Well, I know this is a bit of a crossover to the Move With Me, Let's Do It, but what's your favourite horror films? Let's add a bit more.
Well, what's Realms of the Haunting about? I'm
Realms of the
curious now.
Haunting
He's
is like
mentioned
a
it, and I'm like, what?
mid 90s first person horror puzzle game. It's basically your dad has died recently, and then you have nightmares about a house, and you end up going to the house, and it's this house is like a gateway to different realms, but it's like a haunted house full of creepy things, and it's got some real creepy moments and creepy vibes. It's one of those games that I absolutely loved. You know, sometimes because you don't know, or before the internet, we never knew what was popular and what wasn't. And then you play some of these games and you just assume everyone played them, and then you get to adulthood and you're like, oh, really? No one knows this game apart from me, but I thought it was amazing and thought it was huge at the time. You know,
Like Crazy Ivan.
Like Crazy Ivan, a game that
like no one knew about that apart from you.
Yeah, I was like, I have Crazy Ivan.
Joe, do you have Crazy Ivan?
I do not.
No. I don't think many people have Crazy Ivan. So.
I know Crazy Ivan as the maneuver that Wash makes in Firefly.
It is, yes, it is. Yeah, no, it predates Firefly. This is.
Oh yeah, I had guessed.
This is a PS1 game where you pilot mechs, and you're Russian for some reason, and you just shoot everyone that isn't you.
I think in a lot of diesel punk scenarios, Russia ends up being one of the biggest superpowers quite often. So there is a lot of crossover between sort of that diesel punk mech kind of mythos and Russia becoming a big part of that. So that makes sense.
You should play Crazy Ivan though.
Diesel punk's a really interesting like genre to look into if you're ever curious.
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
sure if you've heard of steampunk, steam becoming the optimum source of power. Diesel punk does the same thing with diesel, and it ends up with these big greasy engines in various ways. It's
Iron Harvest board game.
Yeah,
that's really good fun. That's diesel punk. Yeah, good stuff. You said horror films, Chris?
Yeah, like it's Halloween. Why don't we talk about our favorite horror films just for a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, I have a
I know this is mainly a gaming podcast, but it's Halloween, so let's make an exception.
I'm sure we can touch on it.
Absolutely.
I did do an interesting thing over the weekend that both of you may appreciate.
What did you do?
Where I obviously I went to Comic-Con, but then on the Saturday night I only did a little bit of Comic-Con because I went with my partner to the Prince Charles Cinema in London.
Oh, I saw what you did actually. I saw it on Instagram.
Sorry, my audio completely went then. What did you say?
You're fine. I went to the Prince Charles Cinema in London with my partner on the Saturday night. And the Prince Charles Cinema in London, if you're not familiar, is an independent cinema that shows a lot of cult films, unusual stuff, strange showings, all kinds of stuff. You know, very rare stuff that gets shown there. But they also show do things like movie marathons. So Saturday night at 9 p.m., we went into a movie marathon, which lasted until 10 a.m. the next day. And it was back-to-back, Friday the 13th, 1 through 8, back-to-back, one after the other. It was a wild journey.
How many Halloween films are there?
There's
Friday the 13th. There's
at least 10.
Depends if you include
crossovers
and In Space and everything else. There's a lot.
Oh, yes, there is that as well. Because there's the Freddy versus Jason. But yeah, I know it goes up to Jason X.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've never watched any of them.
Oh,
they're good fun.
They're really good.
Classic slasher stuff. And my partner prefers the Halloween series. I'm torn between the two. I think they're both great. But...
I think they both got their ups and downs for sure.
100%.
I did see you did that marathon. I was like, oh, that looks really fun.
Right.
It was great.
What is your favorite horror films?
Oof, that is hard. You mentioned not Dead Space. You mentioned
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon, thank you. Which is basically Dead Space in the movie.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Earlier.
Although there is a Dead Space anime.
Yeah.
Yes, really good actually. I've watched.
Yeah,
it.
No, I love it. That is
Downfall. I think is one of them. There's two of them, and one of them's called Downfall. I
don't know, but that's like the only anime I've ever watched, and it was great.
Real good. Yeah.
So Event Horizon's in there for you, Joe.
Yeah, Event Horizon just really grim, gruesome, horrific, wonderful atmosphere, great acting, phenomenal moments. Yeah, just it would certainly be somewhere within a top 20, top 10.
Yeah,
I think great acting is going a little far.
Good acting. Sam Neill's fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, he's fantastic in anything he does.
Yeah, so great acting.
But it's Lawrence Fishburne
the rest
as well in that film.
Yeah,
I'm not really a fan of Lawrence Fishburne. I mean,
I think he's great in Event Horizon. Yeah, I think it's great.
He's great in Event Horizon. Yeah, but then I keep thinking of The Matrix, and I'm like, yeah.
That's fair enough.
By the sounds of it, you agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's always great in every film he's in.
No, I think he's great in Event
Horizon. I think has some great acting in it.
I agree.
I wouldn't say everybody's turning in their best performances or anything, but I enjoyed the acting in it.
Yeah, sure. I agree.
I would say my favorite horror films are Alien, the first one.
I agreed.
And I would say Event Horizon.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, good choices for sure. I'd be because we've said the first Alien. I'd also be tempted. I wouldn't say it's the best, but I really love the first Terminator film as a horror film.
It is a horror film for sure, and it's fantastic. Yeah, I controversially prefer Terminator 1 to Terminator 2 personally. I love the original Terminator.
I totally get it. But the thing is,
it's like the Aliens thing. It's like which kind of film do you want? You know, I prefer Alien to Aliens, and I prefer Terminator to Terminator 2.
No,
the horror film versus the action film.
Exactly, it's a preference thing.
Like I would say like Alien 2 or Aliens is my favorite film in that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but calling a Terminator film a horror film I don't. I
The first
don't
Terminator
get
film
behind
is
that.
absolutely a horror film. Absolutely.
It's not. It's an action film.
The first Terminator film is a horror film. I will die. I will die on that hill. I will fucking die on that hill. The first Terminator film is absolutely a horror film. It's basically a slasher movie.
And you hear it first, guys. This is the end of the Icons of Sin.
It's sorry. Terminator 2 is absolutely an action film. Terminator 1 is definitely a horror film.
All of the Terminator films are action films. It is not a horror film.
I don't know when you last watched the Terminator, but I don't think it's the film you were thinking of. It's got action elements.
It's an action horror.
Yeah, action horror. I'd go with. I'd definitely go with that.
I would not say horror at all.
I would say that the Terminator fulfills the same role as a slasher killer does.
Absolutely.
No one asked you, Joe.
No, he's absolutely.
I'm sorry. You.
That's okay. I understand. It's tensions are high.
Apparently, tensions are high. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions involved in this.
Honestly, I honestly see it just as an action. I don't.
That's fine. You're entitled to think what you want.
Let me finish.
Go on.
I don't.
Finish.
I was trying, and then you. Oh, I forgot we're still fucking live. Oh, sorry, guys. I don't see the horror aspects, but I would like you to point them out to me. Is what I was going to say until you rudely interrupted.
Practically the whole film, dude. The whole atmosphere. It's literally a slasher movie, dude.
That's not helpful.
Well, slasher movies are horror films. That's
so for a starter,
it's a genre of horror.
It's a chase movie, right?
Yeah.
A
relentless killer
chasing them down. A relentless killer that cannot be stopped, that cannot be killed.
Yes.
It includes lots and lots of explosions and action. It's not like
not many explosions.
There's not many explosions in the first Terminator film. There's like one big explosion at the end.
And I mean, you could argue that the pipe bombs, but there's not even flames from those explosions. They're very much realistic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's also things like the body horror elements of it. You know, with the Terminator having bits of it blown off, and you see that moment
rotting away.
Yeah, and he's like cutting out the eye, which is no longer useful, and performing surgery on itself to get itself working optimally to chase them down. But yeah, just they are in absolute terror and fear, just like you would be from a slasher killer. It's the parallels between something like Michael Myers chasing down people in the Halloween movies and the Terminator in the first one chasing them down, along with the musical cues, the unknown elements to it, and even Sarah Connor questioning, is this something from the future, or is it just
a madman,
a serial killer?
Yeah.
Because all the police are just like, well, this is just a serial killer who's wearing a bulletproof vest and is probably high on PCP. Or it's like they talk about him like, oh yeah, he can smash through a window with his bare hands because he's on drugs. And when you saw him shot and get back up, he's probably wearing a bulletproof vest like this one. They even like go through that whole explanation. So from the main character's point of view, this is just a serial killer who is working his way through a list,
literally working through the phone book.
Yeah, to murder these people in the dead of night. He just busts in and guns them down,
but it's
remorselessly.
It's still acted as an action movie.
Chris, you asked for examples. You just got loads. I don't know where else to go with this. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Literally just listed things for you.
But the thing is, in terms of the horror films, which I love, I do love horror films that have some either intentional or unintentional humor to them.
Oh, definitely. Dark humor, I think. Yeah.
Well, Darkman came to mind.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love
the Sam Raimi film Darkman with Liam Neeson. It's not necessarily scary per se.
No.
But it is a horror film. It's really hammy and camp in a lot of ways because you know, whether intentional or unintentional, it's just really overacted. But I just, again, I watched it when I was very young. I have loads of nostalgia that goes with it, and I really love the concept. It was a very cool way of doing a very different, very, very different take on the Invisible Man to a degree.
Mm.
And yeah, just Sam Raimi is just an absolutely brilliant filmmaker in his own genre. And so yeah, I just really, really enjoy it, and for the same
A
reason,
really fun movie.
the Evil Dead series as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Which again, they're campy and they're ridiculous, and the effects are dated, but I still absolutely adore those films.
I think the effects being dated just adds to the charm of the Evil Dead series, to be honest.
It's the stop motion
Yeah.
claymation of some of the first Evil Dead, where you've got like the corpses that rot suddenly in front of the camera and then smash on the ground, flying gore everywhere, and it's just like some of that's definitely Play-Doh.
Oh yeah, and some very interesting colors.
Another film I can think of that would belong in my top list is The Thing.
The John Carpenter, The Thing.
The John Carpenter's The Thing, yeah, just
fantastic.
And on the subject of effects,
oh god,
that's amazing practical effects for its time. Oh, it's starting to look a bit dated, but practical effects for me wins out every time. And The Thing is such a great example of practical effects taken as far as they could be taken at the time.
That tension and isolation as well.
Oh yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the score is just the most haunting thing. It's incredible. Yeah, I absolutely love John Carpenter's The Thing.
The crew's paranoia, and that's a great example of a remake that's done for the right reasons.
I agree. I love Thing from Another World as its own movie, and it was kind of groundbreaking in its own way.
100%. Yeah.
But I think, you know, what John Carpenter decided to do was fantastic. The changes he made, incredible film.
Yeah, he understood the elements that made the original Thing from Another World scary and worrisome, and just doubled down on them and turned it into a very different kind of film. If you've not seen the original, it's Thing from Another World. It's more of like a plant-based monster to a degree.
Yeah, it's the same plot-ish. Like they find it in the ice, and then it basically is it's a plant dude who kind of walks around killing people instead of shape-shifting. It's that shape-shifting thing that John Carpenter did that was so genius, where it's like it could be any of us and we don't know who, and it's the perfect mimic.
But the idea of finding something in the ice and the isolation and paranoia that an unseen killer created, I think John Carpenter saw the benefits of all of that story, but just went, you know what would make this more scary is if you don't know where it is and you don't know who to trust, and just went, I'm doubling down on this bitch, and just went for it, and it just turned into such a great movie.
Yeah.
What are your 3 horror movies that actually scared you?
This is so hard. I hate boiling it down to such a small number of films.
I agree.
I just love films so much. Like
me
trying
too.
to boil it down.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, please. No, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
The Grudge.
Yeah.
Fucking hate it. I fucking hate the original Japanese one.
100%. Yeah, and the same with The Ring. The original Japanese one's far superior to the American remakes.
Butchered The Ring with the remake. Butchered.
Yeah.
The original Japanese Grudge.
Yeah.
That scared the shit out of me because I had a sister who used to wear some black wigs. So I would be sleeping, and she would put them over the top of the bed of the door, and scare the shit out of me. What? And then The Descent.
Oh, it's a great movie. Love The Descent.
Yeah.
Choice.
Obviously, I've got quite bad anxiety. I used to like caving quite a lot. I used to like going down. I used to like rock climbing.
Does it put you off for life?
Yes.
Damn.
No, my anxiety won't let me do it. my mind would be like, yeah, we can do it, and my brain would be like, nah, you're staying above ground, dickhead. You're not going down there. And then is what's it called? I think it was a what's it called? Exorcist movie.
The first
I
one?
think it was
The original Exorcist.
No, it was a movie about an exorcism.
The
Is it The Exorcism of Emily Rose?
That was a great
Yes,
film.
yes, that's it.
That's a really good
That's
film.
the one. I was going to say Emily Clark, but yeah, no, that's it. That fucked me up.
I've not seen that one, but I have heard it's bloody terrifying.
It was good,
which is also why I haven't seen it.
Fair enough.
As a bonus one, me and my friends decided to do a Ouija board as a fucking joke.
Nope.
I've never understood the point of doing a Ouija board thing, because it's like either nothing's gonna happen or something horrible's gonna happen. So I'm like, what's the point? It's like lose-lose.
Yeah, it's like if you see a wasp's nest,
yeah,
there may be no wasps in it, or there is definitely going to be wasps in it. Why would I kick it?
This is just a terrible idea all round. But anyway,
it was a very, very bad idea. It's about 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We did it as a joke, and then went to sleep, and then we woke up in the middle of the night from a fucking weird sound.
Right.
And
not what you want.
No, you don't. The little pushy thingy. I don't know why I'm gesturing, because I don't have a camera, so you can't see me.
I know you mean the actual.
I don't know what you call
the arrow for the Ouija board. There is a name for it.
There is. I'm forgetting it.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, we looked over, and that shit fucking moved, and we were like, "Nope."
Yep, I'm done. Burn the house down. Leave. Just go.
Burn the house down, just to be sure.
No, I left
off,
him there.
Nuke the site from orbit. Yeah. It's fine.
I left him at my friend's house, and I was like, "That's enough for me," and I fucking ran home. It's like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I do not blame you. That would put the.
Like, I still don't know if it's my friends playing a joke on me, but that shit fucking moved, and I'm like, I'm not fucking dealing with this. Fuck this.
So I'm struggling to think of films that actually really scared me, or at least,
Oh no, The Descent. I ended up watching The Descent before.
I'd say The Ring, the original Ring, Ringu.
The Grudge and The Ring, I think, are such fantastic entries to this list, because they are genuinely scary films.
The thing about The Ring as well is that I really like about The Ring is that when you look at it on paper, literally nothing happens in that movie until the end. But the tension that builds in that film, the sense of unease with every scene that progresses, it just gets more and more and more tense to where you get to that final shot, that shot when she comes through, and you're just terrified. That film.
Signs also.
Signs has its moments, definitely. The bits in the cornfield, for sure.
Yeah, like no. Signs was a. That fucked me up a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, when I watched the Descent, it was the night before I was going caving for the first time.
Right.
Wasn't a good idea.
So Joe, what films scared you? Any that come to mind?
If we're giving The Ring and The Grudge, I think that's a great two. If you want a third,
I agree.
Have you ever seen the film Outpost?
Yes, that's
the Nazi zombies.
Yes. But obviously you don't necessarily know that it's Nazi zombies until you get into it.
Yeah.
Well,
at the first,
within the first 20 minutes of the film.
20 minutes is a long time into a film.
Within the first 15, then I guess they do establish that they are going to a Nazi bunker.
Yes, but
Yeah, but not zombies though. Like we're going to the Nazi zombie bunker, do they?
It's at the start of the film is a bunch of mercenaries being hired to go into an old military bunker that still has good stuff in it behind enemy lines in a European conflict that has nothing to do with World War II.
Yeah.
It's a modern day European conflict. Once they get down there, they're like, oh yeah, this is an ex-Nazi bunker. Brilliant. That's why there's something valuable into it, because it is well known that
they hoarded all their stuff away.
They had all the gold, and they melted down a lot of the gold from that they stole from the Jews during World War II. And yeah, it like they're there looking for supposedly treasure. It is only as the film goes on that you find out that this was not necessarily a treasure bunker, but more of a human experimentation bunker. And that's, as the film goes on, that's when it starts taking some dark effing turns. And when I first watched it, it scared the bejesus out of me. The way they set up.
Do you know that there is actually 140,000 tons worth of gold that the Nazis stole that is not accounted for?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
a lot.
It's probably all buried. That's the problem, because they blew up a lot of their underground bunkers and stuff. It's probably all just buried under God knows what.
A lot of it is with the most like what's the fucking word?
I don't know.
Most of it is apparently in the Swiss Alps, because they did take control of Sweden and shit like that. Yeah. So that's the working theory, that there is like millions of pounds worth of gold buried in the Swiss Alps.
So if there are any treasure hunters listening,
and you fancy
go there
going to the Swiss Alps,
whatever you find, we're entitled to 5%. Sure.
Yeah. 5% would be more than enough if they found that.
We have just given them the mention. They are the ones actually going out there and
they're doing all the work.
Like all of the hard work is on them. So I feel like 5% as a suggestion fee seems fair.
To fight potential Nazi zombies, I think they can have 95% of that.
I can join them. I'm a level 7 rock climber. I can go.
Well, if you want to put in the effort to go along with them, you will be entitled for a further percentage.
Absolutely.
I will.
Anyway,
in that case, any treasure hunters out there, if you're looking for a teammate, get in touch.
And just make sure he doesn't watch The Descent before he goes, and then.
I said in the mountains, not in the caves. I'm not going in fucking caves anymore. Fuck that.
Make sure you live stream it for us so we can see his reaction.
Absolutely.
I'm also a pretty good shot. I did a marksman course. I'm pretty good at shooting.
Anyway, I feel like we've been rambling for a while now. This has been fun.
when did we start? Like
2 hours ago. Yeah.
Yep, it's 8.
But this has been fun, Joe. Thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been
thank you very much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. And we'll be we will get back to recording some new episodes of Lyric Satiric soon. The latest episode of that will be live tomorrow, and of course, me and Chris will be back with the Icons of Sin probably in a couple of weeks. But yes,
2 weeks. I think that's what we're working on now. 2 weeks.
That's what we're aiming for. But yes,
I will.
Go on,
Karen.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, hopefully we can do some. I forgot the game name. Left 4 Dead videos
we'll
soon.
Yeah,
and obviously that'll be on the Icons of Sin gaming channel.
Yeah, sounds good.
But Joe, you need to join us. Play some Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
Have a few laughs.
Yeah.
That'd be good fun.
Sounds like good fun. Thank you, everybody, for...
It won't be fun when you play with me and Darius.
Sorry, Joe, you were saying?
Oh, I was saying thank you to everybody for listening in and watching the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was good fun. And, we'll catch you all next time.